My children have no imagination. I hear this so often from practitioners in early years settings, and I understand why it feels worrying. You ask a child to tell you a story, and they say, I went to the shop, or I played with my friends, or they retell the plot of the latest Disney film word for word, and you think, well, where's the creativity? Where's the magic? But here's what I've learned through listening to hundreds of children's stories. It's not that they lack imagination. It's that we're only able to imagine with what we know. But that doesn't mean they can't be creative with this. Let me show you what I mean. I once worked with a 4-year-old girl, Nettie, whose stories always started the same way. My mummy cook, my daddy watches telly. Every single week, my mummy cook, my daddy watches telly. Then they'd go on the bus or they'd go to the shop, and that was her story. They were always short, repetitive stories, the kind that might make you wonder, well, does she have an imagination? But here's what I saw. She absolutely did. She was taking fragments of her life, the things she knew, the things she'd experienced, and turning them into story. My mummy cook, my daddy watches telly. They became like her version of once upon a time, her ritual. They were her way into story. And the bus, the shop, the walk to school, these were the materials that she had to work with. So she built her stories from them. And it might not have been castles and dragons, but it was still imagination. Because imagination doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's the brain's ability to work with what it already knows, to take fragments of memory and experience and recombine them into something new. Nettie's something new just happened to look like her ordinary world. But she was still recombining it, still imagining herself within it, still making meaning. Think about it. Can you imagine a completely new colour? One you've never seen before? Well, you can't. We can mix colours, combine them, imagine them shimmer, movement, light, but we can't conjure up something outside of our experience. Our imagination can only work with the materials our memory provides. And children are the same. They can't imagine what they've never encountered in some form. So when a child tells a simple, repetitive story, it isn't a lack of creativity, it's a lack of story ingredients. Now, let me tell you about another child, a boy in reception, Michael. His first story was, once there was a magic star. I touched it and fell into a magic world. Immediately I knew this boy had been read to a lot. He'd absorbed the language of fairy tales, of magic, portals and other worlds. And he'd taken these story structures and made them his own. When we acted out Michael's story, the other children were captivated. A magic star, a portal, a magic world. Well, what's not to like? And here's where I think it becomes really powerful. The very next week, a girl in his class began her story. Once there was a magic star. I touched it and fell into a magic world. She borrowed his opening, his portal. But in her story, when she was through the portal, she went to the shop. because that was the material that she had to work with. So she took his story structure and filled it with her own experience. But over time, this shifted. More children started using the magic star and their magic worlds began to grow. One found a dragon, another found a spaceship, someone else started flying. And they were gathering images and ideas from each other's stories, from the books that we read, from the poems we shared, from the stories that we acted out together. Because that's how imagination works. It isn't a fixed trait you either have or you don't have. It's a process that grows. So next time you hear someone say, "My children have no imagination," remember, it's not a lack of imagination. It's a hunger for a rich story ingredients. And the good thing is, that's something we can do something about. If you'd like more stories like this or ideas to spark imagination in your setting, join our story community. You'll find the link below, and I'll see you next time.